Hey guys, this is KEnODvT here, bringing you a 4v4 on the bigger shared base map. This is going to be a Monobattle provided by the Starcast community, being Hammerus. What have I done? Hammerus, Soli, gods, I'm butchering that, Zinzao, him I know, and Discrax. Now, a Monobattle, for those of you who don't know, is where in the beginning of the game you announce the unit you're going to be making, and you can never make another unit that isn't that. So it can get interesting, but it can be insanely fun, especially if you choose something ridiculous. So I'm wondering when the announcing will come, but right, so Discrax has announced that he's only going to be building Marauders, so that's going to be interesting. Verse 3 Protoss, I definitely don't see a problem with that. Protoss versus Marauders is not particularly healthy. Roach for me then, so who's going to be the next to announce their unit? One of the the episode of Day 9 where he featured these, one of the games, they did it very poetically, and that was kind of fun. So their opponents are kind of taking it jokingly. If anyone actually knows what a Monobattle is and goes up against this, then they probably know instantly what's happening. But they're taking it jokingly, not seriously, which means they are in a lot of trouble. Oh gods, Ultralisks and only Ultralisks. That's gonna be fun. We do see a nice little scouting information coming from as blah blah. I have no idea. He's not a Starcast community, so I don't care. We do see an early expo going down for Solidus. I'd like to do a Monobattle as Zerg and just say Queens for fun. That'd be rather interesting. Let's see, 100 Queens romping down the front of your base. So Discarax, being the one who said Marauders, is just going to go pumping those out. I think Hummerus just said Marines. So what has Zinzao said? I don't actually know. Zinzao, no. Zinzao has not yet announced his unit. Whoa, very interesting. Now Zinzao is a fellow Australian like me, so that's awesome. We do see the Red Protoss going for an early expansion. Haven't put down a gateway yet, has a fair amount of workers. You probably can get away with that in a 4v4, but it's all about timing. I mean, if they do a timing attack and there's only 3 armies instead of 4, you're in a lot of trouble. And the production tab just gets kind of blocked up. It's kind of hard to talk about it. So we do see 3 gateways going down for blue. We see 2 gateway cyber going down for cyan. We see 2 barracks. This is going to be interesting. There's some banter going on between the Starcast community, and Toss is rushing air. Which Toss? Which Toss? That Toss? No. That Toss? No. Okay, so any of the Tosses could be rushing air, although I think he's talking about red, given the economy that has gone down so far. Will he place down Cybernetic Core initially? No, not quite. So Zinzao going for a 4 gates, so maybe he's going to be building Stalkers or something of the like. Solidus just now getting his expansion up, going to populate it with as much as he can. Ultralisk is going to be a hard one, not exactly sure why he's building a Roach Warren, but maybe he changed his mind to Roaches. So Hammerus, no wait, didn't he announce Roaches first? No, it's not Hammerus, it's Roach for me then. But then he... okay, so I think we're going to see just Roaches from Solidus. So, Roach, Marine, Marauder. You should have gone Marine. You should have gone Marauder, Roach, Medevac, and Zealot or something ridiculous. Just be like ground rape. We do see the first Roaches coming out for the Green Zerg. There are some Marines running around, so that's a fairly strong initial force. Given we have... Zinzao, cheating. Cheating. That's cheating. In fact, actually, he never really announced a unit, so maybe it's not cheating, but then it's not a Monobattle. It's a 3-player Monobattle. Discorax pumping out those Marauders quite heavily. No real early push is being done yet. Everyone's kind of building up. Either team could push out and try to focus all of their forces in one location, but it wouldn't work particularly well. Income-wise, red and green will be above everyone. Red having a fairly large advantage over green with 29 workers, sorry, 38 to 29, so that's quite interesting. He's obviously been pushing the economy something chronic, and here comes the air rush, which Zinzao was talking about, which is very well scouted. Just seeing 2 voids pumped out. The Marines and Stalkers should be able to deal with this, but you never know. Roaches getting roach speed and roach burrow, I presume. I mean, if you're only pumping roaches, that's a pretty good idea. We do see a little bit of a push coming out here. Some Stalkers and a bit of Marine Marauder, and now a decent amount of Marauders, Stalkers, and stuff should be able to deal with this with fair amount of ease. I mean, it's Marauders kind of just rape that kind of army composition, and there's 7 Marauders here, some Marines flocking, some Stalkers coming. I think they're going to be alright. We do see more Stalkers coming in, so it won't be easy, but I think the defenders should have the advantage. Getting some detection up for DTs, I presume. A Guardian Shield or 2 would be rather useful. Very nice force fields, keeping those Zealots at arm's reach, which is kind of important. We do see the Roaches finally arriving, and some more Marauders could be used for a break-in. So this could be ending rather quickly for the Starcast heroes. This initial battle not going so well, but you never know. We do see on the production tab for green, only 4 Roaches. I expected more, maybe just hold it off with 20 Roaches being popped out. They were able to hold it off with a constant stream of 4 different types of units, so that's very well done by them. Fortunately, there was no Void Rays backing up the initial push, which would have made it even more frightening and possibly impossible to stop. Essentially, that was 3v4 players, so that didn't go very well. Now, all players seem to be going as per spec, taking out the rocks here to go for another expansion. So that's going to be Solidus is going to be hitting, not Solidus, Solidus is going to be hitting the economy very, very hard. If he puts down a couple of in-base hatches, he should be able to pump out Roaches like a motherfucker. Roaches being cheap and fairly efficient to use. You can create 200 armies like that, throw them away, and get new ones. So army-wise, you're getting a fairly large army up here. They're getting a good defense. Pumping Immortals would be a really, really good thing because you're dealing with Roaches, Marauders, and Stalkers. So pumping Immortals would be incredibly effective. Like 3 Robo Immortal, just pump from 2 of the Protoss, and that could turn the tide on the battle very, very quickly. Where have these... Nah, there are the Void Rays. They haven't got any upgrades yet, so that's not particularly important. Zinzao, no upgrades. No one seems to be upgrading yet, so we do see level 1 green. Yeah, okay, so we're starting to see level 1 popping up now, but I would have... It could have been a good early advantage to push for with upgraded weapons. We do see these Void Rays heading out across the map. Going to be able to deal a fair amount of damage if they catch this army out of position and hit, say, hammer us hard. Wow, that's a lot of Marines being produced at once. So they're just going to be hitting here. Stalkers coming up with some Marauders. Marauders getting the nice stim off. That's not exactly the best choke to try and hold. So they're just going to pick off an army one by one. They may even just go straight for blue, forcing this army to trek all the way around while they just go straight into blue's gateway production. But no, they're just going to sit on this high ground and see what damage they can do, which, to be honest, is a fair amount. Can they start getting some pylons or some gateways or something of the like? This push hasn't been quite as effective as would have been Perfect. We do see that Red has now done some damage with his Void Rays. He's got a lot of minerals and a lot of gas. Maybe he needs to chuck down some more Stargates or build some pylons so we can start producing. They should be able to deal with this expansion or natural fairly efficiently. We do see Purple's streaming army coming up to try and deal with this. They were able to take out... No, they didn't take out his minerals. They were able to deal a little bit of damage here, but not a highly crucial amount. We do see roaches traipsing out across the field, gonna see if they can deal with that expansion. They've just... I think they street sharked over here, and that's been quite effective for them, so I can't see why they wouldn't continue. Just rebuilding up an army back here, I think, is what the game plan should be for now. These Void Rays are still dealing quite a lot of damage. He was able to salvage some of his workers, not all, unfortunately, and this has just left 2 Void Rays on fairly low health to go after Zerg, and 2 Queens should be able to dispatch these Void Rays very, very quickly. These roaches having dealt a fair amount of damage. Some good burrow micro going on right there, but potentially not good enough. We do see more roaches coming in, able to deal quite a large amount of damage to these stalkers. Hopefully they'll get one shot off on that Stargate and just shut it down. Solid is now working on his 3rd base, not as effectively as, not as quickly as a fully macroing Zerg might. It's going to be interesting to see if he'll bring these Queens over immediately and focus fire the weaker one, which would be the definite best thing to do. Marines need to get voids. So yeah, it's been an interesting Monobattle so far. There are Immortals in there, which is really not good for their army composition. If Blue was to just pump Immortals and Cyan was to just pump Immortals, like 3 Robotics Facility Immortals, this army composition would die very, very quickly. Roaches would melt, Marauders would melt, and Stalkers would melt, which is all that's really being produced. At the moment, the economic advantage, and I would say the game advantage, is definitely going in the favour of the Starcast community. They just have the massive advantage. Like, they have these 2 bases out here, base-wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They all... There's 3 expansions for them, and there's 4 expansions for them. So, no, wait, 1, 2... Yeah, there's 4 expansions. However... I would still put the balance economy-wise, I would put the game balance into the Starcast community's favour. They just seem to have a more controlling portion of the map. They would be on Vent, and I doubt this is an organised team. They are gathering up a fairly large army. I mean, this is going to be hard to deal with, but it's not like this isn't. That's not exactly a small force. No one really pushing heavy upgrades yet. The first person to do that will have quite a large advantage, being green at the moment. So that's maybe not the best thing that could be done. We do see some carriers coming out. Carriers are going to be interesting. Carriers versus Marines is obviously very, very good. Carriers versus Stalkers and Marauders. Carriers versus Stalkers is not quite as good, but still very efficient. The Marine's going to be the large anti-infantry force that's going around. As you can see, there is 3 tabs of the things, so that's a lot of Marines, and there's a fair amount of Stalkers. They are going to be able to deal with this base before the cannons go up, which is good. Take it down nice and early. Red is going to be in a little bit of economic trouble after that. His 0 upgrades air army is coming across, and we'll see how they deal with this. If Xin Zhao blinks below them, which I can't see any reason for him not to. Yep, there we go. This air army is going to be a lot of trouble. Marines and Stalkers hammering on it, dealing massive, massive damage. We do see the Roaches and some more Marines coming up across here. Going to be able to take out this wall and going to street shark their way in, basically. Over here, this battle is going rather well. The Immortals are yet to engage. When they do, it's going to be not particularly good for this army. This army is probably null and void and not going to win. But this army is probably going to win, which will give the game which will mean you have an army over here versus a weakened army over here. However, I did speak too soon in that it does appear that this army is going to be victorious against their army. However, they may not be able to deal with the remnants of Red's air army. These roaches are very effectively going to be able to melt this, and on the production overlay we do see 23 roaches. Yes, that's right, 23. Where's his Nidus Canal, I wonder? He's got a Nidus Canal up. I'm just wondering if he's got... Sorry, he's got a Nidus network. I'm wondering if he's got a Nidus Canal. He hasn't yet. And level 2 weapons and armor are just about to finish, giving him a very, very nice advantage over his opponents. No one else has the like. We do see that this Stim Marauders are a bane of my existence. Stalkers and Roaches able to come in here and deal as much damage as they can. These fights have definitely put the game into the Starcast community's favour. They're just kind of ruffle stomping their way through their base. I mean, the enemy hasn't really done this, but they have, so it kind of comes down to who trashed their base more, and at the moment the Starcast community is winning. Xin Zhao going to be able to take out this, or maybe not. I mean, that's a lot of air. With air upgrades, it might be better. The other thing is he has 3,000 minerals. Put down some gateways and pump out some zealots with charge, and that would be a fairly formidable force. I mean, you've got 3,000 minerals. Either give them away or use them. Having 3,000 minerals is not particularly a good thing. We do see a Nidus Canal coming up back here, and he's going to be able to pump out some roaches and deal bad damage to Red's economy, especially at a time when he will be mining out his main very, very soon, and they were able to take out this base fairly recently. So this roach army comes at a bad time. It would appear he's going to try and put down a creep tumor. Yep, there it goes. And very soon I would be hopping straight back into that Nidus Canal, because this is not going to be the best day for these roaches. They've done what they need to do, and I would recommend getting into that Nidus Canal and just running away. And there they go. The beauty of a Nidus Canal is that you can just run away home very, very quickly. These two Void Rays are still back here. I'm surprised he hasn't done anything with them yet. Hammerus could be destroyed again, most likely, with them. A group of Marines just patrolling back and forward to deal with said Void Rays. Bunch of sensor towers just to detect the Void Rays. Roach is heading out across the map with 2-2 upgrades. Has he pushed 3-3 yet? No, he hasn't. He is building a lot of... wow, that's a lot of Stalkers. Is anyone else pushing upgrades particularly? Blue Protoss is pushing upgrades. He's gone for kind of standard Colossus Death Ball. Colossus not exactly being the best thing versus Stim Marauders and things like that. Roach is going to be street sharking their way in here, seeing what they can do. No, neither of them is a cannon, so detection is not particularly a problem. Red still not mining particularly efficiently anymore. They were able to do fairly large economic damage. We do see some changelings coming in. In 4v4, I imagine it could be quite difficult to spot some changelings given the large amounts of army that go around. And that's a fair amount of Marines, Mr. Hummerus. Okay, you have 5 barracks. Putting a few more down wouldn't be a bad idea, but it's not particularly crucial. These Marines are going to come in here and not do amazingly well. Xin Zhao's Stalkers will probably have better luck. Blink in, and no, they're just going to stay at range, I think, and see what they can do there. The Roaches are about to unburrow, I would suggest, because they are under fire. Yep, there they go. Blue and Cyan are, however, pushing out across the map on this side with a terrifying force, would be the right word. So we've got a nice mix of Immortals, a nice mix of Colossi, and a lot of Stalkers. So we could end up having a bit of a base race scenario, which the Starcast community will win because they have these bases out left here. So Blue is now currently wrecking Red's base. Yellow and Orange are currently wrecking Red's base. Red's in trouble, I think, is what you can take away from this. However, Cyan and Blue are kind of wrecking Discorak's base. yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, Immortals are just not good, and as you can see, these Marines are now in a choke point, which is not particularly good. We do see that nothing is being built by Zerg particularly. I feel that Zerg could have done a little better with some more hatcheries, maybe a few in-base hatcheries. Zerg has a shitload of roaches just decimating the opponent's bases, so yes, I do believe this is going to come down to a base race scenario. However, well, I guess you could just knight us over here. That's true, that's very, very simple. More roaches need to get in there, so he's at 194 of 200 supply, which is quite nice. This army is still doing damage. The roaches could probably deal with it. I mean, they have 2-2 upgrades, and they have zil upgrades. Well, actually they have 1-1-1 and 0-0-1. So Xinzao is going to see what he can do here, but I don't think it's going to be an amazing amount. I think the important question right now is whether Solidus is able to take out their base before Cyan and Blue is able to take out theirs. I would put my money on the Starcast community because of the sheer amount of bases they have, and it's really not that hard to take new bases. However, on the flip side, it's still, the Terran does have floating stuff, and if he was to go float a command center over there, the Starcast community couldn't do jack about it because they can't build air units. Although I think no one would be particularly mad if they were to build a Viking or two to try and deal with some floating buildings. That's not particularly a problem, but given it might come down to a base race, that gives them an advantage. However, Green's roaches are going to see what they can do, and it seems to be a fair amount. I mean, this army has been whittled down over time, and now there's not quite as much of the terrifying stalkers as there used to be. I think their workers, I was going to say some stalkers were drawn back to see what they could do. Solidus is still trashing their bases with a large amount of roaches, even though these carriers are just sitting there hammering on them, which is quite funny. These workers are going to try and waltz into Discorax's base. What are they going to try and do? Attack the command center and workers? That's an interesting strategy. I'm not exactly sure why they're over there. Discorax noticing them and doing an attack command, so these workers got a nice surround, and the first attack was gotten off, so that's pretty important. Some bad micro there by Solidus. Everyone's sitting in a choke and not being able to do quite as much damage as they should have. Blue and Cyan are still traipsing across this base, doing quite a lot of damage. How many roaches does Cyan have? He's still at full pop roaches. Where are they? Where are these full pop of roaches? So they're really not dying, are they? Oy, that's not cool. Ah! Each interceptor is dealing 2 damage. 2 damage! Wow, that's not cool. I think when these roaches... Oh, Xinzao a little bit cheating there, getting a DT out. I don't really blame him. I mean, limiting yourself to 1 unit is hard, so I think him building a DT is good, and to be honest, he never announced a unit, so it's not cheating. Ha ha ha. We do see these roaches able to pretty much move around here with impunity, which is quite funny. We do see Milo over here doing some Reaper play, I guess. Reapers could be fairly effective in this scenario. He doesn't really have anything to do, so he's just building things he can get off the base without destroying the rocks. We do see this terrifyingly large roach army. He's taken out like 10 total. It's just kind of like, well, what's the point? However, he has finally built new interceptors, so that might have increased their efficiency somewhat. But still, that is a large amount of roaches taking 2 hits every couple of seconds. 2 damage every couple of seconds from some interceptors, so not the best. And he does have the resources and the capacity to make many amounts more. Blue and Cyan's army finally stopped, I think, which will 150% put it in the Starcast communities. Wow, creeping up much? Definitely going to put it in the Starcast community's advantage, given that they have mining bases and their opponents kinda don't. Xinzao trying to convince him to go Hydra, but I don't think he'll stick with it. He is now getting level 3. Green being the carry of the team right now, just valiantly taking out this entire base while these carriers just sit on top of him, dealing what damage they can, which seems to be diddly squat, which is quite funny. when are we going to see the Nidus over here to the blue base? What is blue doing? He's mining and not doing jack with it. It's kind of fun. Blue currently has 5,000, 1,300. I think he's just been mining and not producing anything. So, yeah, not exactly the best. Red's army's still doing what it can, but versus Marauders with 2 armor, they're being a little more efficient than the Solidus's roaches, but still not amazingly efficient. And again, no detection. Where are we going to see this Nidus Canal? When's it going to happen? It will happen. We know it will. No lair yet. What happened to his lair? Did they kill his lair? Oh yes, they killed his lair. So did they kill his night? No, they didn't kill his Nidus network. So he still can do it. Blah. I'm just going to stop trying to butcher names. It just doesn't work. We do see Red finally going to head out, see if he can do something offensive with his army. This base is kind of ripe for the pickings, and there's a lot of workers sitting there, and I doubt Xin would be very happy. However, I doubt Red will be very happy because Solidus's roaches are raping face. Blue finally putting down a nexus outside and building a shitload of stargates, which is fair enough. However, a Nidus network has just popped up in his base, so timing wise, not the best. And I just got a text from Rogoska. Let's see what he's up to. So Solidus now warping into the opponent's base and dealing terrible damage, given that he's trying to be stopped by workers attacking roaches. It just doesn't work. So that's not cool. Hey, I've never actually seen the plant shrivel, and I just saw it happen. That's a new one. He is going to be able to take out this army before any Void Rays are built. I do believe they do now have 22 damage and 4 armor, so that's not particularly good. We do see Xin building some pylons over here, probably just preparing for a base race scenario more than anything. And base racy wise, there is a definite advantage. We do see some Banshees heading out across the map, finally dealing some damage. I say finally because he's been sitting here for a while on a fair amount of minerals. However, Blue is shortly going to be wiped out. He has 1 worker. Oh wait, 2 worker. Wow. Okay, yeah, I see his point. I think all his Marines for a while had been just hotkeyed here, so he finally figured out he had them. And that's a lot of Marines. However, he doesn't have stim or weapon upgrades, so not exactly the best thing. But that's still a shite load of Marines, and should be able to clean this up very efficiently. Samson has now left the game, so that's 1 down. Zinzao now GGing very truthfully, in my opinion. There's not much they can do about it. At this point, the game is kind of over. The final opponent being Blue and Purple. Blue is gonna die, and Purple is gonna die, surprisingly. Green should scout Blue's base right now and deal with it, and the only thing left to deal with is then Purple's base, but they all left. This is KEnODvT bringing you a 4v4 provided by the Starcast community. Holy shit, that's a lot of minerals. Combined, at the end of the game, the opponent's team had 8,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. That is a shed load. This is KEnODvT signing off. Sorry I haven't been recording. I've been sick and my personal life blew up, semi-literally. And yeah, I'm back recording now and trying not to stop. This is KEnODvT signing off.